What's going on, Burnouts? Happy Memorial Day. You should be hearing this on Tuesday. So technically not Memorial Day, but definitely want to recognize Memorial Day. It's the reason we didn't record yesterday on Monday. My host here, Logan, and I both respect and honor Memorial Day. We assume a majority of the Next Gen Burnouts do as well. Uh, with that being said, we had a pretty good weekend of motorsports over this weekend. Logan, what'd you think?
Yeah, I can't complain. It's well renowned as one of the best weekends of racing. We had NASCAR, F1, little Indy 500. However, we do not report on Indy 500. That is not in our specialty. We strictly report on F1 and NASCAR, and specifically the Cup Series NASCAR. However, if something crazy happens in Xfinity or Truck Series, we're gonna mention it. Be wrong if we didn't say anything, but overall, we keep the NASCAR and F1.
Well said. Yeah, if unless something crazy happens in Xfinity, we're not going to touch on it. For the most part, we keep things pretty structured around here. It's NASCAR, it's F1. You get what you get when you come to a Next Gen Burnouts podcast. Uh, with that being said, I think we should start with the Coca-Cola 600. No disrespect to Monaco, obviously. Uh, not the most exciting of a race. uh, kind, kind of laughing because a little behind the scenes happened a few minutes before we recorded this podcast. We won't need to go into the details of it.
I'll
Um,
get into the
but
details of it.
but
Essentially, we just did the whole recording where we just got it to about this point, and I went to adjust my screen. Which Jordan, can you adjust your screen a little bit? You're basically on the side of the screen. You got to move it over a tad bit.
Logan, as are you, and you're looking blurry. Okay,
Okay,
you're looking like you're recording out of a potato. So let's be easy with
no, you got to move your screen over a tad bit. You're like on the shoulder of it.
this.
All right. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. We
I'm
are
in the
having
middle.
some massive technical difficulties this week. It's been pretty bad. I think this looks a little bit better now. But yeah, a lot of technical difficulties. I went to move my screen about 5 minutes into the podcast and the whole Mac shut down and totally crashed. So we are back and Jordan just couldn't wait to do this podcast. He was so excited. So let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about that Coca-Cola 600. What were your initial thoughts on the race?
Well, my initial thoughts were one, I always like the Coca-Cola 600. It
Yeah.
is one of the more, I think we can both agree, that's definitely one of the more, it's the type where you circle it on the calendar. Oh, that week, Coca-Cola 600, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch it. Of course, it was on Memorial Day. So I can totally understand if people had to miss a few laps. It only lasted for hours upon hours, which I'm not complaining about. I
I
actually
clocked it in roughly, if I'm not mistaken, if it started at 12 our time, it ended roughly around
five
5:36, so about 6 hours, and that's day two. That's not even considering what happened the previous day of all the rain delays. It was just like last year, a very lengthy race.
Yeah, it was extremely long. But what I was gonna say too is I know you and I, or maybe this might be more of something I have said where I've definitely been the one to say it, I think, where I've gone and said, sometimes NASCAR could uh, do do better by shortening races just a tad, not a lot, just cut out a little bit of the BS. The Coca-Cola 600 is one of those races that I disagree with.
Yeah.
I want it to be longer. I wouldn't mind. I could literally be totally fine if that's a 10-hour race,
Yeah.
for all I care, just because it's an endurance race. It's kind of like a last man standing type feel, which I do enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the main thing that came out of yesterday, not the main thing, but one of the big takeaways was Ryan Blaney
Yeah.
uh, finally snapped uh, that win streak, or not win streak, I should say, winless streak, 59 to be exact. So good for him. Uh, well deserved. We knew it was going to come one of these days. He's a great driver to begin with, so it's not like it's that much of a shock. I
Mhm.
do know as well. you have that print off. He's in your playoffs, correct?
I got it handy, and just to be for as official as possible, just threw the green in right there. Ryan Blaney is in for me. Do you remember taking him at all?
Yeah, for whatever reason, my Excel sheet, I have it like usually just up on my laptop. I guess when I closed it, it closed out, so I don't have it in front of me. I'll have to find where I saved it out at. I know I have it. It's obviously in here. So I can't technically say as of now, but I'm not as organized as my host Logan. My apologies. Uh,
Try.
but it is what it is. I'm almost confident I have him in there. I'd be remiss not to.
Well, I wanted to mention one thing real quick, just because we're talking about the paper. We haven't visited this in a while, but at the beginning of the year, essentially, me and Jordan picked our drivers that we thought were going to make it into the playoffs, as well as we picked our final four. So far, looking at, and this was 1 week after the races started, so we both gave each other a freebie by putting down Ricky Stenhouse Jr. But going from there, I've been marking off every one of my drivers, and 4, 5, 6. There's only all my drivers have made it except for 6. Now I know it's about the halfway mark in the season stuff, but that's pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Who are
Uh,
your six? Who are your six?
yeah, Ross Chastain, who is leading in points right now, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Keselowski, and then my other wild card was Cindric. And then when it comes to my championship four, 2 of them are already in. Joey Logano and Kyle Busch, they're already locked in, and the other 2 that I just need is Chastain and Elliott. So far, I've done pretty good. I mean, the big kicker, obviously, for me and you both is we didn't take William Byron, which next year and every year going forward, I will be putting William Byron in because, again, that guy was just been doing lights out. So that's all I wanted to mention about that. But yeah, Ryan Blaney snapping that winless streak was really nice. His last win on the most technical level was about a year ago at the All-Star race in Texas when he won that. He didn't get, it doesn't count as a win really or anything. He got his $1 million, but besides that, no, he's been on, like you mentioned, a 59 winless streak. So it was nice to see him get the win. There is a lot of Blaney fans. When I went to Phoenix, every time I'm usually able to kind of tell like who's the big driver that weekend, who am I seeing the most of. And it was 2 times ago when I was in Phoenix. It was the Blaney fans. It was crazy how many Blaney fans there were. So good for them. Good for Penske, Ford, everything. That was a much needed win. So yeah, and they looked nice. They look chic in that new body armor car as well, paid scheme.
I'm kind of getting the impression you're not the biggest Ryan Blaney fan. I don't want to put words in your mouth by any means, but is that
I
kind of fair to say?
I am so Switzerland about him. I
Gotcha.
don't dislike him at all. I mean, he drives with Joey Logano and the Penske team, so yeah, I mean, I don't dislike him. I'm not going to say I particularly like him, but I'm just glad let me say it this way. I'm just glad that he won and it wasn't like a Larson or a Byron today.
Yeah.
It's a new driver this year. So, yeah, no, I really have no problem with him. I can't really say one way or another.
Nope, I'd have to agree. He's one of those drivers where I know either last episode or maybe the previous episode, we said, yeah, NASCAR has a lot of good drivers, but not a lot of good personalities. And
Yeah,
I would say that Blaney kind of fits that mold perfectly. Great driver, just not a needle mover, which is okay. No, not everyone has to be a needle mover by any means, but yeah, he's definitely middle of the pack. Just he's just another guy out there, unfortunately, and the way
kind of
I
under
see
the
it.
radar. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Underrated in that regard, but no, good for him. Obviously, those winless streaks. I know Kevin Harvick was on one not too long ago. That was. It just seems like they'll never end when it's your favorite driver who's on
Yeah.
one. So.
Martin Truex Jr. Thank God he
Yep.
ended that. But
Yep.
no, Kevin Harvick, he didn't have a good day.
What did he finish exactly? Let me.
Trying to
Do you
pull it
have
up.
the exact finish pulled up?
Yeah, and I don't want to bite myself, but I remember, well, he actually ended P11, not bad, but he was definitely getting in some crashes throughout the day and stuff. I'm kind of surprised that he ended up that high. So good
Well, I
for
mean,
him.
it's the 600, so a dude could go down 2 laps down and still finish, top
Yeah,
10. It's one of those type of races where there's so many drivers who get a speeding penalty, would have a long pit, and it just, in the end of the day, it's a battle of attrition at that point. Uh,
it really
just
is. Well
just
said.
just hoping not to get caught up in any crashes. Um, I think we got to also mention kind of the big news that came out of that race.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
what was your what was your thoughts on the whole Hamlin versus Elliott situation? I think it's pretty clear, but I just figured I'd
Well,
ask.
I'm kind of glad that we're recording today because it is official that NASCAR did give Chase Elliott a suspension for that.
One game
And
or one race.
the burnouts were very vocal about this, as they should be. It's a hot button subject and stuff. But I mean, the Elliott fans were loud, but the Hamlin fans were just as loud too. It was a very back and forth. I think most things typically can come out as kind of a really no gray area. It's pretty clear cut that what happened, but no, it was back and forth. My personal opinion on it is I think that was definitely a retaliation on Elliott's part. I kind of saw in the broadcast when they were talking about it, they even mentioned, "Oh, did Keselowski kind of clip Elliott to get him to go in there?" And I'm looking at it, and the angle is kind of hard to see, but it does not look like it at all. I mean, Hamlin kind of brought him into the wall, but then he came out and it looked like a flick of the wrist, totally moving the car. And yeah, that was not good. That was not good. And Elliott will be suspended next race.
Yeah, and I thought another thing that just further proved, which we can all see because we have eyes, that was clearly intentional and also extremely dangerous. That type of hit on a driver that is uncalled for. I know a lot of people were mentioning the Kyle Larson and the Bubba Wallace incident
Yep.
in Las Vegas last year, which you and I had the
Yeah.
pleasure of watching in person. Shouldn't say pleasure because obviously it was a tough crash, but you know what I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was eerily similar as well. Only difference is, Elliott and Hamlin didn't exchange, pushes in the infield, but that's neither here nor there. Uh, what were you going to say?
One thing I thought was interesting is after that happened, they did an interview with Hamlin and Elliott right on the field and stuff like that. And obviously Hamlin was pissed. I was when they were walking over to do the interview with him, I'm like, oh, this will be interesting seeing him, pissed off. And yeah, he brought up just what you're mentioning about the Las Vegas incident with Bubba and Larson. It was just kind of funny hearing Hamlin he explicitly mentioned Bubba because obviously he was a part of it, but
Yep.
in a really negative tone, and he was pissed off too. He said it was ridiculous. It was unnecessary and stuff. And it's just kind of funny hearing that, knowing that he's the owner of 2311 and Bubba drives for him, and
Right.
they're kind of I don't know. I thought that was funny, but yeah, he totally called Chase Elliott out on his bullshit, and then when Chase Elliott went to do his interview, he was as cool as a cucumber with it. He's like, uh, he really did not mention it or really take accountability for doing that, which, I mean, it's
Well,
neither
you know
here.
why.
Hmm.
The precedent's been set when Hamlin had his incident earlier in the year with Chastain, and he said, "Yeah, it was retaliation." They
Yeah.
went in, docked him big time.
Well, I know that, and I don't think on the on the infield interview he's going to say, "Oh yeah, I purposely crashed Hamlin" and stuff like that. But he was
I
just
mean,
totally beating around the bush, completely. And yep, I mean here it is, and that made me kind of want to ask you, how is this year? I know it's been mostly downs, honestly. What are you feeling about this year with Chase Elliott? We're over halfway through the season. he doesn't have a win. I mean, I know with the snowboard accident and stuff like that, but it's just kind of not the best, I don't know, general news going around Chase Elliott right now and his season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you brought up a great point, and you kind of took the words out of my mouth. As you said that, I wanted to check. Yeah, he's currently sitting 29th in the point standings, so he is absolutely going to either need a win
Yeah.
or go on a massive, massive streak, which he's already going to be losing a race next week. So
Yeah.
it's looking like he's all but needing a win to get into the playoffs, which we can both agree is doable for him. He's
Yeah,
one of the
definitely.
best drivers in the sport by far. But no, I feel like it's a pretty disappointing year for him. I think that's pretty evident. Uh, Starting from having an accident, not even on the track, which, hey, guys got to live their lives. No one's debating that. But to have an accident,
Some
you're the
people are.
face pretty much. Oh, some absolutely. And I can see how they are too, because
Yeah.
that's, you know what I mean? That's a little bit of, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, regardless though, you're the face of a sport essentially, you know? Like I don't want to put him on the same level as like a LeBron or that type of level, but he
I
is
mean, you
like
kind of can, right? Now in the current
well,
situation, you kind of can.
I mean, Elliott here, LeBron, not even on the screen, but you know what I
In
mean. Like,
respected sports, I mean, I would say,
yeah.
I mean, Chase Elliott is literally the most popular driver in NASCAR. I mean, I think it's pretty fair to put them together. I don't know.
Well,
Apples and
let
apples.
let's just say for NASCAR's sake, they're probably praying right now to that Elliott can turn it around and squeak out a win,
Yeah.
which is completely doable for him. But no Elliott in the playoffs. I know for a fact a lot of Elliott fans just won't watch, which I find to be pretty weird.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Kevin Harvick fan, but if Harvick doesn't make the playoffs, which is very likely, I'm still going to be watching. It's I don't know. So I find that to be a little. I don't want to make I don't want to throw any strays at the Elliott
Dude,
um,
you're in
fanboys.
a touchy
I know
situation. You do not want to piss off the Elliott fans.
I'm teetering. They're pretty
Oh,
passionate. They're pretty vocal, but at the same time, so are the burnouts. And the burnouts got our backs regardless. So I'd go to war with the burnouts any day. Um, but yeah, regardless, I'd say been a pretty disappointing season. Uh, but there's enough time to turn it around
yeah.
easily.
And I still think too that he will easily win a race, for the rest of the season. But it's not going to help with playoff points or anything by being what you mentioned 24th right now.
But 29th, and dude,
Ninth
playoff points though, like I don't know, last year I feel like they didn't really come into too much of a play. I
for
know
for
there
him, they did big time.
he was like the only one that really benefited because he had multiple, if I remember correctly, DNFs right in that first round that
Yeah,
put him really kind of on the brink. But outside of that, I feel like playoff points are,
you
I don't
definitely
know.
want. Like, there's no debate if you want him or not. You obviously want him.
Well,
They have an importance.
Well, of course, but
No.
regardless, also should mention Corey LaJoy is going to be driving in place of Elliott this week, so that'll be cool to see.
Really?
Yep, that got announced today since Elliott's going to be out for a race.
Why is Corey LaJoy driving for him? Isn't he on his own team?
They just moved him up. I can't explain it. You and I have had discussions like this multiple times. The whole team charter thing, and we're not super. Yeah, Corey LaJoy's driving for him. Couldn't explain why.
Not Eric Berry. He's not going to be the one getting all the
Eric
money.
Berry. Eric Berry? You mean Josh Berry?
Josh Berry. Sorry, I
You
don't
got
know.
it. And well, we can edit that out. We'll cut that. Don't worry. Burnouts, they'll never know. Uh,
I didn't care. It was a simple mistake. Josh
that
Berry, Eric Berry.
that also brings me to a good point, though. Did you see where Josh Berry got signed to? I know
Yeah,
you did.
in 2026, right?
2026. I definitely didn't see that. I thought it was for next year.
Oh, could be mistaken, but you're talking about Stuart Haas, right?
Yeah, yeah. He got
Yeah,
signed for Stewart Haas Racing, and
I don't know.
I mean,
Probably next year.
it
Maybe.
is, yeah, beginning in 2024. So, uh, definitely going to be interesting to see. I kind of want to touch on that really quick because that is definitely a hot button topic. Josh Berry is by far one of the hottest prospects in the sport. He's driven for Elliott. He's driven for Alex Bowman.
Yeah. No,
So
he
yeah,
should.
it's going to be interesting to see as well because he's taken over the four. Kevin Harvick's obviously he's in his retirement year.
Or confirmed.
Yep, taking over the four. So that was one of the first things I was thinking of when I saw the news is because I know Almirola's had like his retirement back and forth for like 2 years now. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, he might be going to the 10, which would be really cool as well. I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I thought it was
Uh,
confirmed he's going to the 4. No.
it is, yeah. No, I double checked before we hopped on. They're saying he's confirmed for the four. I was saying that when I first saw the news, I thought it would be for the 10, only
Yeah.
because I kind of was like, they might try to put someone else in the four. It's a little bit more, reputable. But no, I can't complain. Josh Berry, great driver, looks to be on the come up. I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. has nothing but good things to say about him. He's claimed he could be a NASCAR champion one day.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
he's get he has
Pretty
given
big
him
shoes
very
to
high.
fill though. Driving that 4 car.
What'd you say?
Pretty big shoes to fill.
Oh, ginormous. And hopefully this also means that Bush will obviously stay. Because, I would assume, sponsors, a driver leaves, uh, maybe get a little cold feet. I don't know their contract length, but I feel like Josh Berry will step in good. Uh, he's a good driver as well. So obviously you want to
Yeah.
have a name, but you also want a guy who produces. So I think that was a pretty phenomenal signing by Stuart Haas, and we'll see. We'll see.
I think the biggest miss of all time is why is Busch Light never sponsored Kyle Busch?
Yeah, that. I mean,
That doesn't make any
I hope.
sense.
I hope they don't. I mean, I would prefer to keep Bush, Stuart Haas exclusive. I mean, unless we somehow prime away Kyle Busch away from RCR, but that's obviously not going to happen. So,
No, no.
um, yeah, that'd be interesting. And I guess too, since we're on the topic, I'm very curious to see who replaces Armarola in the 10.
Yeah.
Um, I know I mentioned it. I know the burnouts are gonna call me on it because they're really attentive listeners. I did say early in the year I wouldn't have mind to see Riley Herbst from Xfinity Series. He's a young driver. He also drives for Stewart Haas as their reserve driver in terms of Xfinity. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw that prediction out there. I would assume it's gonna be him. I'm just hoping it's not Cole Custer. Uh, I
No.
I hope not. That would be
He
that
got
would be absolutely.
elevated, then it got dropped down, right?
Yeah, and he's also the son of someone prominent on Stewart Haas, so he definitely has a little bit of potential
Ooh.
nepotism. But
Ooh.
I know, I'm not a fan of Cole Custer. Hate to throw the stray out this week,
No,
but
I remember seeing Custer on the standings last year, and every time I'd see him, he'd always be at the very bottom.
oh yeah,
That's funny. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the standings? Anything that standed out from the ending of that race, and then we
yeah.
could hit our
Oh,
darts and duds section.
Lo-
What I wanted
Logan,
to mention. What's up?
do you hear that? It
What?
it's the Todd Gilliland check of the week. Just check. Just checking in. Todd Gilliland.
He's a DNF.
Well, he finished 33rd. So about what we expect from Todd, but no,
We
I
need
didn't.
to get him on. That was good too. I like that.
That would have been legendary if one day it's you, me, and Todd all on a pod. Didn't mean to rhyme that, but that would break the internet.
He'd
The
say like,
burnout.
"Oh, so you were the motherfuckers talking shit."
I would be kissing his ass from the moment he's on till the moment he leaves. I'd be,
I
oh,
would zip my lips so quickly.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, also too, because out of respect, he's a phenomenal driver. He's in NASCAR. It's just
Yeah, he's in the
he's
cup.
get he's in exactly. He's just
How
yeah,
old is this guy? I'm just gonna look it up.
and he's
And you
probably a
know
really
he
nice guy
pronounced
too.
his last name, dude. He's 23. I think we looked this up before, but he's literally 23 years old.
What?
Yeah,
I thought this man was like in his late 30s.
Nah,
Wow.
shit.
I kind of actually feel a little bad now.
He's literally younger than us.
Yeah, he's younger than you. My God. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's younger than you too.
Wow, that's insane. I didn't realize Todd Gilliland was younger than you, but
You know
that's
what?
interesting.
I know when we do a Todd Gilliland look, I always kind of keep an eye out and see. Did I talk shit about these guys? And now I've been keeping an eye out on Austin Cindric with a DNF P31. Okay. And then your boy, which I'm not liking him lately, Chase Briscoe, P20.
Yeah, yeah, not the best race from Briscoe by any means. I think that's just a microcosm of the year, unfortunately, for that 14 car. But uh, it is what it is. He's on the edge of the playoff picture as well. If I remember correctly, he's sitting right at 17. Uh, and sadly enough, he's a few points behind, of all people, Alex Bowman, who has
Mm,
literally missed multiple races. Um, so that's a little unfortunate. Not the best look, but not the end of the world. Still a lot of races to be had.
yeah. Cindric is one of the guys I need for the playoffs, and as well as I got both the RFK boys in there, and I think point wise they're doing half decent. Yeah, I mean Busher's
Busher's doing
12,
great.
Keselowski's 9 points wise. Can't complain about that.
And I think this year there's going to be more than just one person getting in on points because last year it was one. If I memory serves,
Yeah.
15 different winners and one got in,
Yep.
made the transfer.
And it
So I
was your
think there's
boy
going to be.
Austin Dillon, right?
Was it? I
Yeah,
can't
because
remember who made. I know
wasn't
they're fighting. It was between whoever and Truex.
yeah, I want to say it was Austin Dillon if I'm not mistaken.
I'll have
And
to look
he's
at
doing
burnouts too.
terrible this year if I'm not mistaken too. Could be wrong.
Yeah, he's not having the best year by any means. If some dumbass had him in his final four, that dude should just never talk NASCAR again
That dude shouldn't have
because
a NASCAR podcast. Yeah,
no, not
he's
at all.
31 in points right now.
All he needs is a win.
I know. I was
Just
just
needs
about to say though, all you need is
one
a
win.
win.
One
All
win.
you need is one win. Let's go over to the darts and duds section. I know I'm always telling Jordan, hey buddy, you need to quote your tweet and stuff, but this week I didn't, strictly out of respect for Memorial Day. I thought I don't want all the attention on me, not a big deal or whatever. So let's
All
take
those
a
dubs.
look at our this week's darts and duds. All right. I'll start off with mine if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Um, my first driver I took was Brad Keselowski, one of my favorite drivers, and he ended up P19, not great. Larson, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he was a DNF at P30. Yikes. And then Elliott, ooh, God, DNF at 34. So that was easily probably my worst week of drivers. I did go manufacturer Chevy, and I know Blaney's Ford, so missed there. And then my dark horse was Logano, and he was P21. So, um, yeah, easily my worst week probably I've ever had. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Thanks for going over your darts and mostly duds.
yeah,
So I'll just do mine really quick. I know the burnouts are the anticipation is insane right now, but for my locks, I went Byron, of course, had to go Byron. The dude's in a rocket ship this year.
yeah.
P2. I also followed that up with Bubba Wallace, who finished P4, and Kyle Busch, who finished P6. So kind of good if I do say so myself. And then I went ahead, locked in my dark horse, Truex Jr., who finished P3,
So you had a 2, 3, and
4
4,
and a 6.
and a
Yeah.
6. Wow. Tell me,
Yeah.
you must have had the manufacturer, right?
Nope, nope. I went ahead and missed the manufacturer. I threw in there for Chevy because I thought Byron was going to win it. I thought that over the stretch of that long of a race, his car that he's had all year, that was just a recipe for success. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? If that kind of makes sense.
yeah.
Um, So I threw in Chevy thinking that Byron was going to be the winner.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great picks by me. And not
So
to,
let me get one thing straight. So I had straight duds and stuff, no winners.
yeah,
You had some great picks,
but no winner.
but also no winners.
Yep.
So we're still in the same situation regardless. But you can't really complain about a 2, 3, 4, 6.
I won't be complaining about it. And look, I know the burnouts listen to us weekly to get their picks. They follow us on Twitter for those exact reasons.
So
So
we really give, yeah, yeah.
I just try to give it to them as best as possible, and I hope that people use that information wisely. And I think this is a perfect time to get it in. We waited a little bit longer this week, but Next Gen Burnouts, that's our handle on Twitter. Next Gen Burnouts, that's our handle on Apple Podcast. We're an Apple Podcast exclusive. Go ahead, give us a follow, give us a like, maybe a sub, and go from there.
And we're doing a giveaway this week. We've been talking about it. We've been, bringing it up and stuff. It's happening this week. If I come back next week and we're talking about this podcast and I say we're bringing up, you can tell me to shut up, but we're doing the giveaway this week. Me and Jordan got to work out
Logistics.
the logistics of it, but we'll probably be dropping that on Friday. So anyone listening right now, you got a few days to prepare and stuff, but we will be giving away a Tony Stewart Home Depot hat, and Jordan actually just bought something for the giveaway for our next giveaway. So this is gonna be a regular thing. Every once in a while we will be doing a giveaway, and it's all coming right out of Jordan's wallet. So that's even better.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. And I think what we might have to do instead of course, we're gonna do the standard Twitter giveaway, like retweet, follow, da da da, whatever we decide to do. We might have to drop like a code word like throughout the podcast. And that way, if one of our burnouts, we have a plethora of, if they pull that keyword and we'll say, hey guys, giveaway keyword this week is blank. If they send us a DM or send us an ad on Twitter and they have that keyword, they might win. I think we might have to do that one of these weeks. So that was
We
an
will be
idea.
giving a special shout out to the winner too. So
Yes.
you also get a little bit of notoriety too for certified burnout energy. So
Yeah.
those are little updates with our page and stuff. I know we've been off. We decided to take off the All-Star weekend. Not really necessary, but we're back better than ever. And yeah, we're gonna keep going. We'll touch on F1 real quick and we'll wrap
I
it
was,
up. Jordan, you got some comments on F1?
yeah, I was gonna say I thought we were just gonna skip it entirely. I wouldn't
Oh,
be too,
we should, but no.
I wouldn't be too upset. I mean, it was a little bit of a snoozer, but no, it was an okay race. I personally do enjoy Monaco, strictly for the aesthetic. I know that the track doesn't produce as it should, uh, and with the main reason just being that F1 has outgrown it.
Mhm.
When F1 was racing in Monaco back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, however many years ago, the vehicles were a lot smaller.
Yeah,
They weren't driving in the cars that the size they are now, so there's just no opportunity for overtakes.
yeah.
There is, but it's very, very light.
That turn
Um,
four, like what you're mentioning, that turn four on Monaco is absolutely brutal, especially with how
oh, it's
big
insane.
these cars are. Oh, the turn that's basically a 90-degree angle. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Watching that was just hilarious to see those big of cars. They basically stopped. The speed went basically down to 1 to 2 miles per hour. It was crazy.
It'd be actually kind of fun to see too. This is just literally shot out of a cannon. F1 cars on that track are brutal to watch. I wonder how a NASCAR would perform on that because you can bump, you can do a little bit of rubbing on that. Like
Yeah.
that would be kind of interesting to see. I'm sure the handling
There would be
wouldn't be.
so many cars though.
Yeah, maybe cut the field, but I
Yeah.
digress. I digress. But yeah, I thought the race overall obviously was pretty slow. I know that once the rain came in, right like smack dab in the middle, that was definitely interesting to
That was
see.
interesting. Bro, that was a strategic component of the race. What I thought was fun, kind of determining, what tires we need to use. I thought that was interesting.
Yep, and I agree completely. That part kept me like engaged because obviously up to that point it was a snooze fest, you know.
Yeah.
Guys were 7, 8 seconds, gap. It was just like, okay, this is Monaco for you in 2023. But no, the rain was definitely nice to see. Obviously, didn't really affect the outcome. Max Verstappen, of course,
Yeah.
won. Uh, and also, Fernando Alonso is becoming a fixture on that podium. He's bound to steal a victory from Red Bull. Bound to. He's
Oh,
got to.
I don't know. I'm a
He's
Rebel
got
fan,
to.
and I'm almost wanting someone else to win. Someone.
No, there's no way. Red Bull's got the obviously the championship locked up, and Max has the drivers' championship locked up. I would say already.
Yeah,
Um,
easily.
Checo could give him a run for his money, for sure, but I think at the end of the day,
It's 1-2.
it's going to be 1-2. Yep, unless I can maybe see Alonso fighting for two, but I think give it four more races, Red Bull is going to start to separate to an extent of there's no more coming back from
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
which is also kind of disappointing because I know you and I have talked about how we kind of want, or maybe I've more said this, but I kind of want NASCAR to go back to more of a point system in terms of just overall. Like screw the playoffs, go points. Because this year, if they were going by a point system, this would be a really, really good NASCAR season in that regard. Because dudes are up top are not separated by much. It's
yeah,
actually very close up top. Um, but like this year in F1, it's it's basically over.
yeah. Literally
I think
not.
that's fair to say.
What are your thoughts on Ferrari?
I mean, what is there to say? This has been another abysmal year by them. Uh,
Well, because I'm
they're
only mentioning that because we were trying to discuss like who's going to be that competitor against Red Bull. Is it going to be Ferrari? I mean, that's what I mentioned. That's who I thought maybe or whatever. But looks like
Aston
it's been
Martin.
Aston Martin, I
Yeah,
guess.
it 100% has been. Fernando Alonso has been absolutely destroying this year the midfield. And of course, I'm saying the midfield, even though uh, they're right there with Red Bull, but at the same time, they're not close. It's kind of like here's Red Bull, here's Aston Martin, here's everybody else.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
uh, again, that's the one part of F1 that I'm just it's unfortunate because the racing is phenomenal. When there is a race that's close, that the action is where it should be, can't beat it. But that's rare. So
yeah, yeah. No kidding.
and
So I don't know. I guess we will see. Guess we'll see.
yeah,
What did your Haas boys do this week?
not good. There's no need to go into it. Literally a terrible week on most fronts. But we're in Spain next week. Wanted to double check, so that'll actually be interesting to see. And then in terms of NASCAR, we're in Illinois. Illinois, I should say. Don't know if there's a state called Illinois. So
Is it
yeah,
really? Is that where
yep,
we are next week? Oh,
yep.
we do.
It it's not Chicago though. It's not the
Oh, okay,
street.
okay.
It's not the
That's
street
on
race.
that's on 4th of July, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no way! I think you're right. That's gonna
Yeah,
be cool.
that one's gonna be sick. Might be a
Yep.
little
Nope. That'll be
dangerous.
really cool.
But, no, that would be really cool. So yeah, Illinois race. That should be. I would not consider this to be something that. Oh, I'm gonna mark this race down in my calendar. I'm
No,
not
no,
around for this race really much at all.
no,
Uh,
not at all. I
no,
will say,
wait, let me mention one thing. After this race is one of my favorite of the year. We're at Sonoma.
yep. I was literally just gonna say now, next week, this week I should say coming up, not really too, stoked about, but Sonoma is awesome, and I'm also looking forward to Nashville
Oh,
because it's a night race. That's
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
a night race, so that'll be really cool to see. I love night races is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to get
that'll
at.
be interesting.
Under the lights, yeah, can't complain about that.
Yeah, not. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Illinois could be a great race. That's just not something I see on the schedule and really look forward to. But no, I am so stoked for Sonoma. I can't wait. I wish,
Yep,
if I could, I wish I could be there for that.
yep,
But
that'd be awesome. That's a race that we'll have to go to one of these days to add
you
it
will
to
know
the.
it's not that far away from us, too. From Arizona to there, that's, most of our stuff is on the eastern side of the country. So
Yep,
to there to, I mean, we lost Fontana this year. So,
yep,
but, yeah. So, well, I'd say that's probably a wrap for this episode,
yep.
right? Any other
I
closing comments?
I agree. Do you want to sign us out?
All right, Burnouts. Well, it's been a great episode number 13. We will be back next week to talk a little Illinois. Keep your eyes peeled for that giveaway, though. The announcement should come out around Friday. We'll give you guys, Friday, Saturday to get those entries submitted. We'll probably close it off by Sunday. So Friday to Sunday, get those entries in, and we will announce it probably on our podcast that weekend. So. All right, Burnouts. Well, you take it easy, and we will see you next week. That is a wrap.